first of all, for this work, I would understand. I need to understand that um, the head of the model is actually under my eye level. So actually, each time when I draw the model, I can analyze and understand my model with different kind of diagram, different kind of structure. Like this one, I would like to understand the model looks like a cup, and you can see the top of the cup, and then you can see this part. So I draw pretty light because I have to save the darkness for future. So you can see the top part of the head, and usually when we draw an object three-dimensionally, at least we needed to see three different faces. So like this, you can see the top face, and you can see the front face and the side face. So when you draw this one, it's important you can see that the top face, and also if we draw a line like this, it's pretty. If you're close by the screen, you can see that the detail. Yeah, you can see that if you find that photo. Okay, I send the photo to the to the laptop. You can see the photo, and you can see that there's in the middle of the forehead and the between the eyes, between the point between two eyes and the center of the nose, not the tip of the nose, but go over to the center for the lips and the center for the chin. So this is the line. It's not necessarily totally straight. Sometimes it's a little bit curved. A little bit curved. This is the line. It's very important to catch for the skeleton of the head. So catch this. So make sure this is I call it the tendency line. It's very important. And also you can go through the top tendency. So based on this, we can define the spot between two eyes, the middle of the nose, and you can estimate the ratio from this to the top. So I see that this is too high, so this spot needed to be lower like here, and then you can draw the eye level. So if you look to the model's flat, and you can see the eye level supposed to be on the midway between the chin to the top of the head. But the things that we look down, so this portion will be bigger, this portion will be smaller because of perspective. So you look down on the model. So this is a much more shorter. So in this work, the eye level will be like here. It's really short. Really short. This part is short, and this part is long. You see, if I measure this and this is more, right? So this part is long, this part is short. This is a very basic proportion. And if you're not very sure, you can measure. Your photo. If you draw from life, you can measure use your hand and the pencil to measure. And And also very important, you need to see that kind of tendency of two eyes. Many people start with one eye, not so much take care of another eye, so they're easier to draw them flat because you will feel like more comfortable to draw flat eyes. It's more like it makes sense, right? But actually, the most of the situation is a mistake. So eye level here. So now, if you understand the perspective, you know that the the vantage point will be somewhere that direction. And since the whole head is below the eye level, so eye level for this picture probably is like here, right here, the top line of the paper. So that means that the vantage point will be somewhere cross like this way, and it will hit the line of the horizon somewhere there. So that means if we in future draw the nose, draw the mouth, all of this line needed to go to the same spot. Right? They go to same spot. That also means they're not really parallel each other. They need to look like a fan. They will go this way, this way, this way. Here more flat, and here this, and here more this, more steep. So when we draw the chin, it's more steep. It's like this, right? So like this, right? So this is because of the perspective. So you need to understand that. So after that, we can define the shape for the nose, and you know that the nose, because nose is sticking out, it's a triangular, so we can draw the nose sticking out. So basically, the nose can group like a triangle shape. So then we can draw shape for the eyebrow. You see eyebrow, and also you can check if the eyebrow go up here, and if go another side here, it's a symmetrical. Also, you can check the forehead area, and you see that shape. So you feel like it more and more three-dimensional. So then the eye, so when you draw this line, you can understand this line go over here. This is the bone, structure of the bone. So the eye is here in this area, right? So when you draw the eye, because we're looking down, so the eye is the shape like this. So the eyelid, we can see the eyelid is more like a surface of the sphere, and it's gonna open. And this side is very, very small. And so although we always consider eyes should be big, but actually the real situation, because of perspective, it's not that big. Huh? And then the cheekbone. So when you see this part of cheekbone, follow with this perspective logic. You can see this side cheekbone. You can see this side cheekbone. Big. Okay. Then draw the mouth. Going to two sides of the mouth. You can see the upper mouth can be more stick up. So this side is smaller, this side is longer because of perspective. And here, the lower part of the lip, you need to draw it look like a step, and also check with the two sides, this side and this side, and go to the chin. And here you can see the connection. Here you can see the connection. And when we draw nose, we can draw this side. Another side is hiding on behind the nose, so you cannot see that. Cannot see. The only thing we can do is draw the top part of the nose. And when we draw nose, we know that this is not a single straight line. We need to draw it with a more structural way. And each section of this structure, you need to check left side and right side. And you can draw a center line and check both sides so that your nose will look with a solid structure. Okay, and we almost complete the front face. And the top face is easy. It's just a part of the hair, but the hair could getting bigger because the thickness of the hair. Okay. So the side of the hair. On the side of the hair. And now we draw the ear. When we draw the ear, we need to carefully to compare the height with the facial part. So if we align this one, will be here. So that means the ear will be here, and also align here. So sometimes we need to compare the distance between the ear to the cheekbone. Compare this with that, so you see that the ear, how much apart from the other features. So outline. When this size is okay, we can outline the ear. So make sure the ear is belong to the side face, not the front. So the side face complete. And then draw the rest of the cranial part. And here, this part actually is not the skull, it's the neck. It's the neck. So the neck need to be clamped on the cranium. So the cranium here, the neck under this. So don't draw the neck over here, to here. So here's the muscle trapezius. So behind the neck. That's the muscle connecting the sternum bone to the bottom part of the ear, stereo. So this is the mastoid. So this is the muscle to control the neck. So it's also need to check symmetrically for this side and another side. So this side and another side. Here's the hyoid. So although it looks like a cylinder, but it's more complicated. In the field, there are two muscles. Sometimes they're not necessarily symmetrical because when the head turns around, this muscle can extend longer. Sometimes it can be bigger. Another side can be smaller. So. Yeah, sometimes when we draw portrait, it includes a part of the neck and also the shoulder girdle. So that is important. Part of the body structure need to be included into the drawing, into the portrait drawing. So the shoulder. Show you the cervical and shoulder, scapular backside. Okay, so this is the process of beginning, very beginning outline, and you can double check that process. You can see everything is a symmetrical principle. Check the perspective and the whole head you need to understand with different face, different sides. This is important. And after this, you can work on details. So sometimes you can start from the eyes. So like this situation, the eyeball and eyebrow is very close by because of the perspective, they're a little bit overlapping each other. So you draw that relation of the work. And this side, yeah, sometimes when you draw this side, look at that side to make sure they really pair each other. So when you draw the eyeball, the pupil part, make sure it's not totally a perfect circle. You need to follow with the perspective. So like this situation, the circle is it's only like a half and very squished and small and it looks very flat. So this is important. So, yeah, it's very small. When I draw this, I always make sure this the eyelid on the top is like a loop to cover the rest. So this is more bright, but it can accept the lighting. So you need to understand this kind of different level in the space. Yeah, only when you understand, you can draw more better. Not like smudging details. Just use the patience. That's not enough. You need more understanding. Understanding is important for drawing. Complete eyes. So this part we can make it darker. Not so much. Sometimes you don't have to make it so much clear because compared with this side more far away, more further, you can make it less contrasted. Now work on the nose. And when you draw the nose on this side, one thing is you know the structure. You can draw a line dark so that you can see the distance between this nose to that face. However, this line, you need to see that it's also a transmission. You can see like a clip, but you can see the different detail surface. So it's not just a single line, but it's more detail geography situation. So you see that, and the nose, the tip of nose, not necessarily very sharpened. And you see different faces to combine together to get a highlight. Sometimes not really here, but in this work will be here. So we'll leave the highlight so later. And since the nose is very much stick out, so sometimes the shadow of the nose could be pretty dark. Depends on the cast shadow situation. For this work, I don't have so much cast shadow, so I can do this line pretty dark, so they can see the depths under the nose. Okay, now I'm working on the lip. So when you draw the lip, you can see that this side much more, right side much more clear, and left side less clearance, because this side is close to you. So you need more contrast. And this part is like a sphere. Then you feel it's turning around. So don't consider it just look like a making up shape for the lips. It's more need to think about the volume. So not just outline for the lip, it's more about different faces, different edges for the lip. And for the red part of the lip, you can usually use the shading like this way to see the structure, the texture of the lip. But however, it's under the lighting, so you still needed to keep some contrast and brightness. Okay, don't make it totally dark. If it's dark, you cannot see this part. This part is more dark because the lips needed to look like steps. You can see the step, right, dark, right, dark, these kind of steps. Okay, so very far away side, be very careful. Connection, very careful. Actually, I did it, the chain part, a little too big for me, a little much more smaller, much smaller. Sometimes you can check with your photo, with your model to always adjust your shape a little bit. So when you draw the chain, you need to see that very bony little relation. And you can draw the folds. Yeah, don't draw this as a single line. It's more like a different thickness. Here it's more thick, but more transmission. And here more thinner contrast, but less contrast, less transmission. So always switching, not just to do a single line, but always consider it's a little face. So now I'm doing, it looks like the folds are like small lines, but actually you need to understand that kind of like each part have a different, certain thickness and the width, so that I can draw detail. Now I'm working more on the forehead, so I can draw the folds. So here I can draw the head. Not head, more like a sphere. So this part is more like a whole area for the sphere, right? So you can do more contrast around the core area and less contrast far away from the core area. So the facial part almost done, right? So now I'm working on the ear. So yeah, although the ear looks not so much three-dimensionally like other features, but it need to be pretty subtle. So you can see the little folds. Sometimes it belongs to different face, and sometimes some folds, like here, the little folds is very subtle. Sometimes it's very thick. Sometimes it's very thin. It's a switching, alternate. So some folds here you need to see more deep. You can see the depth of that, and also you can see the lighten function in a very small area. So sometimes the ear also challenge you. And you see here, there's light, here's gray, because if you consider it's like a green, it's going to different direction, so that the light and function is different. So don't just do it like flat, same color green, but it's more important to make it feel like it alternates from light to dark, every here and every there. So it's a little detail and complicated. Yeah, so looks so similar color, but you need to have some kind of patience, and also you can connect different parts with smaller shading. Now I'm working on the hair between the ear to the face. So this part, pretty important, you don't do it a very clear pattern. So you need to feel like the hair is growing on the skin. So there's something like a line, could be very subtle, very small, and then goes to very dense. And also sometimes you need to leave some shading line, like white lines. You need to leave that so that you can see the lighting and still have some light, not totally black. Yeah, always when you do the shading, always adjust the gap of the line so that you can see different kind of lighting function. So yeah, last time I introduced some shading, like one layer with more value function, and then you can have another layer with more texture function. Sometimes also could combine these two kinds of things together. So sometimes if I draw my work, it's not so much separate these two kinds of shading. For beginner, I would recommend them to separate the value shading and the texture shading. And sometimes the line for the hair could be very expressive. So you enjoy that process. It's not really a headache. Sometimes the line could be interesting. I like this photo because his hair, this part looks very interesting, very expressive. Okay, so I work on the rest of the hair. And since it's a demonstration, I'm working every hair in there So sometimes it's easy to have your hand smudge on this part. So I will be careful. But sometimes if you work um, by yourself, sometimes I would like to starting from one side to another side. I will keep the paper easy to control. And, if you're really sophisticated, you don't have to do the outline like I did, and that make the work looks more neat. Working like one sky, yeah, one time, and it's better. And of course, you can taking more time to work on it. For demonstration, maybe to watch a video feel like it's a really long time, but for drawing, it's a too short time for the work itself. So sometimes a little bit rough. But when you do the practicing, to be more enjoyable. Okay, so most of the part almost done. Now I'm working on some half tune to make the structure much more subtle, detailed. And this is the shading we can half tune, and sometimes take a longer time to work, but we'll make the quality good. And also needed to check the detail shape. And for example, here belongs to two different faces, especially the corner between two faces. We usually work more detail on it because I'm working on the white paper, so I cannot like highlight the cheekbone to easy to make it stick out. So I have to use more shading, small shading, to wrap up the rest of the part, then leave the highlight lighter. So also I need to do the shading for the whole face. So you see that this part, so that to make this part become a kind of like a gray color. Then you can see that that part is light. So yeah, but anyway, if you want to draw a very detail and a very interesting details, of course, white paper give you more work to do and also interesting. And now I'm working on the neck part. So neck part. For this work, the neck part could be pretty dark because the face gives the shadow on the neck and the chest. So when we do the shading, you can see the distance from the chin to the chest. So you can see that distance. And let's see some shading for the cheek, for the chest, to the details. But this side it could keep something lighter. Okay, so sometimes if you're not really do the background, you can consider give an outline for this side, the shoulder, because the shoulder is a little bit more sticking out in the space. You need to understand the spatial relation. This part is close to you, so you can make it outline darker, so it can stick out. So this side, need to be more less contrasted. So sometimes I would give it more like a shadow, more shading, a little more thickness, so it's more background stuff. So you can see the difference. And also, if we have more time, we can do more shading for details, and then leave the highlight here. But for other demonstration, this is almost done. Okay. The demonstration is almost done. So I will adjust a little bit, and I will post that on the bright space. So I've moved the camera to middle, maybe easy to see the work without any distorting. Can you see it right? You can see it right. Okay. So I will post the demonstration on the bright space, and I can also post the original photo, so you can compare and understand this process, and understand the structural way. And the current assignment is about, after the plaster drawing, and the structural way to draw, and the more three-dimensional way to analyze the structure, and give detailed drawing. Okay.